So as I said a moment ago, it is great to see everyone here. Not seen most of you since, all the way back in 2018. And so even though it's a few days after the official start of 2019, I want to wish you a Happy New Year. And I hope that everyone has fulfilling, meaningful, peaceful, and grace-filled 2019. So, did anyone here spend time on New Year's Eve contemplating your New Year's resolution? Oh, got a hand. Got a couple hands. I can't put my hand up because I did not. But besides resolution making, one of the traditions for this time of the year are the projections, or maybe the wishes, that the media types put out about possible things that could happen in the days and weeks ahead. Here are a few that I saw as I was doing my online browsing recently. The Donald may release his tax returns. Congress could set aside self-serving politics and address our nation's problems in a logical and realistic manner. McDonald's will start a hamburger meal home delivery service, maybe even by drones. Congress, or at least some members of Congress, will rebel against the NRA's stranglehold on it and tackle real gun control laws. Airlines will hold the line on new service fees. The biggest must-have home redecorating trend will be walls that feature shifting lights. Laws will be passed that say that we own our data and that we will be paid royalties when our information is sold to businesses. Oh, and here's a far-fetched one, maybe the most far-fetched of all of these. Wi-Fi will be designed to always connect, and devices will be able to pair instantaneously, and will be able to make adjustments without digging into some obscure setting. And for those who care about things like this, the Green Bay Packers will not be passed over again this year and will be given the opportunity to play an NFL game in London. And my personal one. Maybe someone here will win the lottery and donate a lot of money to Channing Memorial Church. All of these are potentials. I mean, they all could happen. Or not. Who knows? But there really is only one thing that we can know will happen. Each and every one of us will decide, maybe actively or maybe passively, how we will approach our lives and living during the next 359 days. We get to choose. We get to choose if we will continue to live out our lives as they now exist, or change something and repackage ourselves physically, emotionally, or spiritually. In the commercial world, repackaging means taking a product and in some way changing it and then representing it to the world. And the same can be true for people. People can take what they have become, change it in some way, and then represent their life to the world. It's common at this time of the year to find social media and news sites filled with articles about repackaging ourselves. We repackage ourselves, they say, by finding our muse or engaging in some kind of self-improvement adventure to become all that we can be in the new year. These articles by life coaches or pseudo-life coaches or inspirational speakers or pseudo-inspirational speakers seem to imply that everyone needs to change how we approach living. And if we don't, we are warned that we will be missing out on life. I recently found by a quick perusal of some of these articles that I can improve myself and unlock my full potential merely by taking guilt-free naps. I've been doing that for years. Sipping on red wine, of course. I like that one. Wake up to a sunrise. Sunrises are beautiful and inspirational. The only problem is they come too early. Manage my time better. I decided that all I need is a 27-hour day. Make a budget. I guess they're saying it's not good enough to just put everything under the miscellaneous line item in the budget. Drink enough water. Meditate. Learn a new language. I thought about that, but that didn't go very well for me back in college, so I doubt now with a mind that's 50 years older than that it will go any better. Create to-do lists to keep myself focused. I've created lots of them, and they're on someplace on my desk. Don't think small, but think grand. I have been trying to think which Fortune 500 company I want to head. Stop watching TV, but then I don't know how I'm going to learn about home renovation if I don't watch HGTV every night. And floss daily. I wonder if that will get me any dental insurance discount, though I know it will keep my dentist very happy. And, of course, it'll give me a better life. But what none of these advice articles, talk about is how to make a decision in a rational way about changing our life if we decided we wanted to do that. To decide to take that difficult step of repackaging ourselves. All the life improvement advice that I've seen seems to make the assumption that a person just knows that they need to make a change and then they start to make that change. But that's not necessarily true. Even if a change is warranted by life circumstances, before a person can consider some self-improvement endeavors, they need to decide that the change really needs to be made and they want to do it. There is a cost. There is a cost to every change that we make in our lives. At the minimum end, or at the easiest end, there'll probably be a loss of comfort following familiar paths, and our schedule will have to be readjusted. There'll possibly be expenses. And maybe there'll be anxiety, and in some cases there may be real pain. So we need to make life change decisions carefully. So before we set off to change our life, we need to really do one thing. We need to take what we can call step 0. Make the conscious decision to act to change our life. We cannot start to change things in our life, to stop a habitual behavior, adjust the daily schedule, or do something new, create that budget or whatever, unless we intentionally decide to do it. It just does not happen. It just does not happen by itself. We must take step 0. Now, sometimes step 0 is forced upon us by another person or ourselves. There's just too much pain, too much anxiety, too much conflict, too much loss of sleep, too much stagnation, and we know that. We are told, or we come to realize ourselves, that something needs to change, and we take that step 0. But probably, most often, step 0 comes about after we have done some assessment of where we are in our life, pushed forward, most likely, by a quiet but nagging feeling that there could be more for us, or that we are not being fulfilled or living out our potential by how we are now living. In either case, a clear sense that things must change, or that vague feeling that there must be more, the way we get to step 0 is by engaging in the ancient spiritual practice of discernment. The act of discernment, which goes back hundreds if not thousands of years, involves spending time to try to see deeply into a situation, recognizing the practical, moral, spiritual implications of a situation and the potential course of action, and then using that insight to make discriminating judgments. If we want to make a decision about our life, to decide if things are okay now or something needs to change, whatever our age, 20 or 40 or 80, we need to engage our whole self. We need to engage our whole self in the discernment process. That is, using the physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual aspect of our being to look at our life and our living. Step 0 is not just a mind thing. Looking at all of the aspects that enables us to go beneath the surface level of the moment-to-moment life experiences, which are often clouded with emotions or conditions like fear or hatred or conflict, to really see the truth of what is happening with our lives. So the first thing to check out is our body. Check out what our body is telling us about our life. Our bodies are an essential part of who we are. Each day we make countless choices and decisions, and these decisions have direct consequences for the physical dimension of our lives. Often the body is the first aspect of our being that tells us something needs to change. The body will both react to a situation that is not in balance or is not feeling right with physical or mental symptoms. It always does. And it is important that we consider what our body is telling us about how things are going in our lives. Then, if we think our body is really telling us something about our life that we need to change, we need to pay attention to our feelings, because they are part and parcel of a human makeup. Those gut feelings are often the bottom-up message to our brain that things need to change. We cannot ignore them, or worse, repress them, and still make a rational decision about what we want to do with our lives. We must allow them to have time to speak, and then take time to evaluate them. Which brings us to the third aspect that we need to take into account when we're doing a discernment about our lives, the intellectual side of ourselves, our gift of self-consciousness. We are able to reflect upon our life experiences and what is happening with and to our lives. We are able to analyze the various factors involved in how our lives are affecting us and those in the world around us. Is our life making us happy and content or not? Is our life making life good for others or not? Is our life hurting ourselves or others? All are very appropriate questions to ask ourselves during this period of discernment about what we want to do with our lives. And then finally, we need to consider the spiritual dimension of how we are living. The spiritual dimension of our makeup reflects our deepest longings and our true values, and is our intimate connection with the universe, with that which is greater than us. But very often, the spiritual dimension is largely beneath the level of rational reflection, so we need to consciously ask ourselves such questions as, are our actions enhancing the way we relate to the world? Are they keeping us in or preventing us from living in right relationships with other people? Are we allowing ourselves to hear that voice still and small inside us all, that some call conscience, that some call the soul, that quietly guides us in making right, moral, ethical decisions? When making decisions, we need to take time to allow that still small voice to rise to the surface of our awareness and to find expression. Now, contrary to what life coaches seem to be saying in all of their New Year's articles, perhaps if we spend some time, and that's why I've said packaging maybe yes, maybe no, perhaps if we spend some time reflecting our lives, we'll decide that we do not need to repackage ourselves. And that is okay, with the caveat that how we're living is not harming someone else or truly harming us. We may feel that our lives are okay, are good as they are now. But then again, maybe we might want to consider making some changes this year. And perhaps we will find, as Irish poet John O'Donoghue says in his poem, For a New Beginning, a beginning that has been quietly forming, waiting until you are ready to emerge. But I'm pretty sure that regardless of what we decide, if we really pay attention to ourselves during this year and every year, we pay attention to ourselves and make decisions about our lives that are good and right for us, the universe will say, sweet cakes, yes, yes, yes. Because we are really being in touch with our true being. May you live yourself fully into 2019.